teams to buy in the Big 12. So these are teams I'm looking at that don't have the highest expectations. People are sleeping on a little bit. They're a little low on, but I'm actually a little higher on, and I actually think that they will exceed their expectations and make some waves in the conference, so in the Big 12. Let's start with the first one. Iowa State, number 2 in returning production. They returned 20 of their 22 starters. Rocco Becht is coming back for another year. Abu Sama, a running back, after having a great year, he's coming back. Now, they have a tough end of the schedule. It ends with Kansas, Utah, and Kansas State. Those are 3 teams that will be the favorites to compete for the Big 12 title. But they have a relatively, manageable schedule leading up into that. So if they get into their groove and they're starting to feel right and the offense looks good and Matt Campbell's got that defense looking great, I think they can be pretty decent and do really well in this conference. And just to start, in this conference, this is a brand new conference pretty much. Texas, Oklahoma gone. You have the 4 teams that came in last year entering into their second year. So, and then you're adding Colorado. There's a lot of newness to this conference. So Iowa State, they can make some waves in this conference. So let's take note of them throughout as the year goes on. Moving on to Central Florida, UCF. So we got KJ Jefferson coming in from Arkansas. He's big body, can move, can throw the ball, has a gun. So we'll see what he can do. I'd like him in a Gus Malzahn offense. I think that'll be a lot of fun. UCF also did a really great job in the transfer portal. They got Nigel Kelly from Miami. In the secondary, they got Cedric Hawkins and Traquan Fegans from Ohio State and USC, respectively. They picked up Penny Boone from Toledo or Louisville, or however you want to classify it or look at it where he came from. He was leading running back at Toledo and MAC Rusher of the Year, I believe. Transferred to Louisville, now at UCF. Who knows? Ajay Hall from Texas, who didn't reach his maximum potential at Texas, but has a lot of upside. So there's a lot to like about them. UCF, I think, of the schools that are joined, I think UCF and Houston are actually going to fit pretty well in the Big 12 and can be pretty competitive in the next 5 to 10 years and compete for these conference championships. So I like where UCF is. I like what Gus Malzahn is doing. Now, they have a pretty tough schedule, but it's pretty spaced out. So they draw Florida in the middle of the year, Utah at the end of the year, and then kind of in between that is a bunch of toss-ups. They have a 3-game stretch of at Iowa State, BYU, and Arizona. So that's their toughest stretch. It's not insurmountable, but it certainly will be their toughest 3-game stretch in the season. But it's a pretty balanced league, and I think that they can do a good job competing. This league is up for grabs, and I think UCF can be right there with the rest of the group. Lastly, let's go to Oklahoma State, team that everyone sleeps on year in, year out. Everyone just stays sleeping on the Pokes. It's right there for the taking for Oklahoma State. They've been, one of the premier programs in the previous iteration of what the Big 12 was, even with Texas and Oklahoma in there. They're the one that have been the thorn in their heel or Achilles, however you want to call it. They got Mike Gundy's there. He's a veteran coach. He's one of the most probably underrated coaches in the country. They're number 4 in returning production. They have 20 of 22 starters coming back, 10 on each side of the ball. Alan Bowman is back for his 94th season. They have Ollie Gordon back, who's leading rusher, who's closer to an alien than he is human. Can't actually, pretty similar to Nick Martin as well at linebacker. So they have some veteran guys coming back, and they have a lot of the pieces that I think you need to compete for a Big 12 championship this year. I think this is just going to be another year where they'll just fly under the radar and surprise everyone, much like they did last year. Now, they have an extremely front-loaded schedule, and they start off with South Dakota State, the 2-time back-to-back FCS champion. So it's as far as FCS scheduling goes, it's the hardest you're going to get. So they did themselves no favors there. Then they have Arkansas, Tulsa, Utah, Kansas State, and West Virginia. Those are their first 6 games. And so you got Kansas State, Utah, West Virginia. All those will be in the top half of competing for the Big 12 championship. And then you throw in Arkansas, some SEC competition there. That's a very tough schedule. It tapers off a little bit after that, but if they get through that first grind of the schedule, And they got 4 of those games at home. 4 of the 6 of those games are just listed off at home. So that works to their advantage. But I think if they come out, breathing after that and in good shape, and they're looking at like 4-2 or 5-1, I think they have a really good shot to compete for this Big 12 championship and potentially win it and put a stake in the ground and say, this is our conference now. Follow Big Body Ball on all socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Check out the full video on the YouTube page, Big Body Ball CFB.